Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I got my two masters right here. Yeah, I live to please my masters. Yeah. Once again, we're back. We're back once again to explain what's going on here with old Shuffling Mac. Over here, Stephen A. Smith and his lying, manipulative. I mean, it is just, his ego is so large now. He's got what he wants because Master has gave him a contract. Master said, you've been a good boy, and we want to keep you in a good boy position. And he's happy because they are paying him to be a good old boy. Now, because they paying him to be a good old boy, he did some things he shouldn't have done. And there's always going to be cracks in the ceiling. But we going to get to all that. Oh, yeah, it's time to expose you again, buddy. Because you keep bringing this on yourself. You do. It's all you. You keep bringing it on yourself. Drop the intro.
Hi, I'm Karceno.
Oh, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
No one knows Karceno and none of these.
There's so much going on in the world. And I'm just giving my 2 cents on it. Go in and do a raid at someone's house, but you don't have an arrest warrant for them. Yo, so the man is back. Stephen A. Smith, the cap master himself. He went on Chris Carter's show called Fully Loaded. See, this is what Chris does, you know, now he can do this, now that he done messed up another bag. Now he's trying to come back with his podcast show and get back into the game. Most people now are leaving major networks and going on to the internet. Something I told you guys about years ago. Now they realizing it's money here. So now they like, we got a big enough name on major network television. Let's just go to the internet. And now they're trying to flood the market. So everybody got to find they wearing a figure 8. Right? And now Stephen A. Smith is trying to get himself in that figure 8 because he's seen, man, Pat McAfee came up and did what he did from the internet. They paying internet guys like that? You better believe it. And now Stephen A. Smith goes on to this show and does some remarkable lying like I have never heard before in goddamn lie history. Let me show you how powerful of a liar this man is. I've never seen anything like this. They go into Max Kellerman, right?
What was the rub there? Why wasn't that show as successful as other partners that you've had in that spot?
Older, when he comments about, he just said, I don't remember that. Not it didn't happen. He's like, I don't remember Chris saying that to me. He can't not remember it. He just don't want to go there, don't want to talk about it.
I guess so.
I'm assuming. We're assuming.
No, that's different. I can't speak to that because
Correct.
I mean, whatever.
What was...
Okay, now he's talking about Max Kellerman. Okay, this is where I wanted to go with it.
What was the rub there? Why wasn't that show as successful as other partners that you've had in that spot?
Lack of chemistry. Believe it or not, it was more his fault than mine.
Lack of chemistry. And it was more his fault than mine. Remember that. Put a pin in that. Stephen A. Smith just said it was chemistry. And it was more his fault. Max Kellerman's fault than mine. Can you believe that? Mm, mm, mm.
That spot.
Let's
Lack of
listen
chemistry.
again.
Believe it or not, it was more his fault than mine.
It was more his fault than mine. Keep that in mind. It was more his fault than mine. That was the words that came out of his mouth. Now listen.
I might disagree with what he says, but there have been times when I think that Marcellus has been more than fair, and he's entitled to his opinion. I'm certainly not here to criticize him. I only bring him up because when I think about Max Kellerman, I think about the narrative that he's helped put out there, and I'm like, talk to me, and all you have to do, because I might. There's certain things I may not say publicly, but I'd have told Marcellus because I know that's his boy,
Right.
But it was a chemistry issue, and I think that people need to understand it was mostly my fault.
Now, let's go back to the beginning one more time, just so we ain't crazy. Let's go back to the beginning of this, just so we ain't crazy.
What was the rub there? Why wasn't that show as successful as other partners that you've had in that spot?
Lack of chemistry. Believe it or not, it was more his fault than mine.
Stephen A., you worked way too many minutes. Lack of chemistry. It was more his fault than mine. And less than 1 minute later, he flips that whole thing back around to his Max kid. Now it's my fault. It ain't Max's fault. I just thought about that. Wait a minute.
Entitled to his opinion. I'm certainly not here to criticize him. I only bring him up because when I think about Max Kellerman, I think about the narrative that he's helped put out there. And I'm like, talk to me, and all you have to do, because I might there's certain things I may not say publicly, but I'd have told Marcellus because I know that's his boy.
Right.
But it was a chemistry issue. And I think that people need to understand it was mostly my fault. I'm the leader.
Now it's his fault. That's why I'm like, I cannot believe Stephen A. Smith actually said this. In less than 1 minute later, it went from it was mostly Max Kellerman's fault about the chemistry to it's my fault. I swear to you, I've never seen nothing like this type of narcissistic behavior again in my life. I'm sorry I keep going back to it. We're gonna I just gotta listen to it again. And then it's so funny. The way Chris Carter go into this Jedi mode. Like he's stuck in mode.
What was the rub there? Why wasn't that show as successful as other partners that you've had in that spot?
Lack of chemistry. Believe it or not, it was more his fault than mine. I'm the executive producer of the show. I'm the star of the show. Dude, because I might there's certain things I may not say with the people that have been there since he's been gone. Look at how I vibe with Skip Bayless as a debate, dude, because I might there's certain things I may not say publicly, but but it was a chemistry issue. And I think that people need to understand it was mostly my fault.
It was mostly my fault. Good people, I want y'all to understand what a double talking liar sounds like. That's what it is. They're stuck in their own ego, in their own way. Listen to them talk.
I'm the leader. I'm the executive producer of the show.
They gave him a title, executive producer, and he thinks he runs the entire program. I told you, if the master tell you in charge, master said I'm the boss. I'm the boss of all of y'all. Oh my goodness, I swear this is sad. It's sad and it's funny at the same time. Max Kellerman is a white man, right? Stephen A. Smith is the black guy. And we're sitting here talking about the black guy getting rid of the white guy in a way that you would see it work in reverse, and the disdain we had for the way it went down. So it shows you it's not about race. Okay? It's about caste, a hierarchy. You were on the outside looking in, Stephen A. You were on the outside. You were fired from like 2009 to like 2011, 12, around that time. You was at a cubicle at CNN. Tamron Hall was at CNN. And she looks over and see you, and she had just saw you on ESPN. Like, what is he doing here? You had been fired. And now that you hold position and you're holding court now, you're the grandiose savior of ESPN. Wrong. You're not. And this whole thing about Max Kellerman, and keep digging it up and keep bringing it up, and why this thing couldn't work, and running Max Kellerman's name into the ground for over a year. You used it to sell a book. You used it to do all these different things in your whole new life, right? And let's listen to it in full so you get the full context of what he's saying. We just pointed out how he told two different reactions, you know, so that people could understand he's a double talking liar. But even worse, he believes his own bullshit. And that's where it becomes dangerous, where you start believing your own lie. Let's listen.
But when you leave, guess what they do?
Yeah.
Stephen A. Bro, what you think? Hey, you know him? You know her?
Yeah,
That
all the time. But I will say this,
Now he's like, yeah, I got that power. That's what they do. Yep. When they interview people for a job, then they come ask me, hey, you know them? What, are they good people? Why would they want to ask you? That's an insult. That's insulting. So if anybody black is coming to a job for ESPN and they do this interview, and then they got to go behind the scenes and ask Stephen A. Smith, do they know people? First of all, Chris Carter, I know you you went through rehab, and, I'm glad you did. But this might be some lingering effects, because let me just enlighten you on something about ESPN, every sports person's nightmare. They don't hold Stephen A. Smith in the category that you think they do. This man was fired in 2009. They had no intentions of bringing him back. Skip Bayless is the only reason he came back in a limited role in like 2012. And then it was like maybe 2013, I believe, they started letting him come on. He got another deal to come back, and they signed him to a contract. And he didn't have the love of the network till like 2016, around that time when Skip left. And they saying, hey, we need you to run the show. Other than that, he didn't have the love of the network. They didn't look at him as a commodity that they got to go, you sure about this one, Stephen A? No. Now he has some brass where they'll ask him certain things, about certain personnel and people that are there, because now he's a good old boy. He's proved he's a good old boy. He's going to do all their dirty work for him. Let's listen.
I might disagree with what he says, but there have been times when I think that Marcellus has been more than fair, and he's entitled to his opinion. I'm certainly not here to criticize him. I only bring him up because when I think about Max Kellerman, I think about the narrative that he's helped put out there. And I'm like, talk to me. And all you have to do, because I might, there's certain things I may not say publicly, but I'd have told Marcellus because I know that's his boy.
Right.
But it was a chemistry issue. And I think that people need to understand it was mostly my fault. I'm the leader. I'm the executive producer of the show. I'm the star of the show. I wasn't looking at Max Kellerman and saying it was his fault that the show failed. I'm talking about us. How I vibe with all the people that I vibe for. The proof is in the pudding. Look at how I vibe with the people that have been there since he's been gone. Look at how I vibe with Skip Bayless as a debate partner before he arrived. I think that Max Kellerman is somebody that I'm rooting for to return to this business. He's somebody that is nothing short of brilliant.
Okay. Let me point out some things. When I was saying first take sucks when Skip left, and I was watching Undisputed, right? And then I would watch the replay of like First Take and everything, and I'm watching them do the debate show. And Stephen A is right, because I said it right away. Because before Undisputed aired, they had these new shows airing. And I did my video, The Truth Behind the Beef with First Take and Undisputed. Once I done that video and I saw what was the problem, Will Kane is who they really wanted to have that spot, or should have had the spot. They elected to go with Max because Max had a name and nobody knew who Will Kane was. Will came on there for his audition fill-in for the job. Will Kane was like, you don't even know me yet. He was so far Republican. Right-wing guy. He was despicable. He was unlikable by even the people that like the sports. They was like, I agree with him because I like the Cowboys. That's my team, but I don't like him. Because he was too far right-wing. And that's not what they wanted. Will Kane was too much fighting for his own position to where Stephen A couldn't get a W. And when Stephen A couldn't get a W, then that's not going to ride well with Stephen A. Smith. You see, Stephen A. Smith's ego's got to breathe. And this is what he's trying to tell the general public, is basically he's letting y'all know how the cookies are made.
Genius level. Yes. Brilliant. Absolutely true. Here's the issue for a debate show. Because you are such a genius and you are so brilliant, and you have the ability to articulate yourself the way that he does, at some point in time, you're talking and you're talking and you're talking, and you're talking above the audience to the point where they find themselves asking, what did you just say? Now,
I didn't get that impression. I did not get that impression from Max Kellerman whatsoever. I didn't ever get that impression that the people didn't know what Max Kellerman was talking about at no time. Max Kellerman never talked to the point where he has been doing these shows way before he was on First Take. Max Kellerman has been doing this show, hosting Above the Horn. He knows how to talk to an audience. He knows how to make it relevant for them. Never did anybody ever hear the point and say, well, Max don't know what he's talking about when it comes to Stephen A. Smith. Or he don't know what he's talking about on this subject. Max is going to be able to fight for his point. When I made my video and it went viral, meaning over 100,000 people watched it or whatever, with Undisputed and First Take, they took my video. Stephen A. Smith, you used my video as reference and said, see what they saying about the show? Look at these comments. Look at this Karceno. This Karceno for life guy. Look, 100,000 people just saw that. He's seeing the lack of chemistry. It ain't just me. This was the first year. Max ain't even got the job yet, and he already wanted him out. Because I said, oh, this is a bad mix. It don't fit. I knew it was like a glove that didn't fit from the jump. Yeah, it was a glove that didn't fit. And it didn't need to fit. Yep.
In a lot of different worlds.
I do.
But
and I know
you're more talking about your audience,
right.
what's going to be hot, what's going to keep building
I'm on
the show.
The air. When I'm on the air, Sean, Chris knows this. When I'm on the air, watch me. At times they catch me, and I don't mean for it to be caught. Like a director shouldn't have me on camera. I'm talking, but then when I'm not talking, I'm directing the show. This person, that person, wrap this up, go here, go there, keep this going. But I'm doing all of these things in the midst of the show because I know television. And so,
first of all, why are you wearing the sleeveless shirts with the hoodies? Trying to show like, yeah, I got my guns. You going through a midlife crisis? Is that what it is? You trying to show like, yeah, I'm getting my guns on. And everybody can see what the problem is clearly. Stephen A. Smith back.
So because of that, I'm watching an audience look at us for 5 years. In the last 3.5 years minimum, they were asking, what's up with this? and it wasn't resonating. They were watching, but it was almost like they were watching because that was a default position. And they were losing interest in my estimation. The numbers didn't show it, but the Pulse did. In terms of our numbers digitally, in terms of me being at games and seeing the reactions that we were getting off of the things that we said, seeing the storylines that were being peeled from content that we had discussed on the show. And 99% of it was about me. About 1% of it was about us. That's not what I want.
These are all lies, ladies and gentlemen. These are lies.
I want somebody that's going to come at it in a way where the impact is palpable enough, where it's comparable enough. And if you don't have that, then you don't have a partnership. You might have a show, but you don't have a partnership of people that are rising together. And I felt the staleness. It's our job when we're doing television to get a sense of the pulse of the audience.
Yes.
And I got the sense that the audience was losing interest. And so I knew it was me, but I said, it's us because it's a debate show.
No, no, no. Wow. Stephen A. Smith. Here's where this guy is lying. The show never got stale, buddy. The show was always stale when you were there. What he's meaning to tell you people is that this show, what I want is for you to make me look good. I'm the A side, you're the B side. We're not co-hosts. I'm the host, you're the guy that's here to make me look good. That's what I want Max Kellerman to do. I want Max Kellerman to come in here and kiss my ass. Be glad to be here and play the role I wanted him to play. I want you to play a young Skip Bayless. And I told you when you first hired Max Kellerman what the problem was going to be. Max Kellerman doesn't fit because he does not have the passion for a debate. He does not care about these topics. And this is why the dynamic didn't work. Because Max Kellerman, one, is not going to kiss your ass, Stephen A. That's not going to happen. Two, Max did not have the passion. Skip Bayless bleeds for the Cowboys. No matter what happens in the game, Skip is going to make an excuse for him because he's passionately attached to the Cowboys. He's passionately attached with Tom Brady. It's passion for him. The passion of the disdain for LeBron James. That was passionate. He really means these things. You think I'm talking about LeBron James because, it's going to get me some hits and views. So a lot of stupid people believe that. You said Isaiah Thomas is the best because you just want to get some hits and views. You know that's not true. You know Michael Jordan is. I'm like, do you know I was saying this in the 80s? That's what I'm saying. People don't know. They gonna know. Now, Max Kellerman lacks the passion for the debates. He's not a debate. He's smart. He's too smart for a debate show. And when he debates, he comes with facts. He's going to come with research. It's going to come from a place of, I'm not just saying this on just this the way I feel. I got facts to back up my statements. He's more of a conversationalist, and he does pretty much a deep dive and to back up his claims. In a debate show, that kind of tack doesn't really work, especially when you have someone that's not going to help you. Stephen A. Smith is a bad host. He's a bad host. He's not going to help you develop and get better at what you want to accomplish, saying, okay, I want this, you want that. Let's find a middle ground. Let's see where we can work, where this show could, no. That ain't what he wants. He want his butt kissed. He got to look like, I'm the Don, I run the show. This is what it is. When they were doing the show, they were doing an average of about the same numbers, except for when First Take first got started and the Tebow era hit, those numbers have never been hit before in life. They never hit those numbers again. The Tim Tebow phenomenon was the biggest thing anyone had seen. Those numbers were off the chart for a Fox show. So Undisputed was averaging about, I want to say, about 160, 170, on the hit list. Right? About 160, around 160, 170. ESPN is always going to have more than Undisputed because Undisputed has less outlets. ESPN has more outlets, so that's why they have higher numbers. Has nothing to do with the show being great. We're better, we're number one show and all that. No. Nothing that. They're going to be number one if Stephen A ain't even there because they have more outlets. Now, if you're looking at per outlet and viewership based on an average of how many homes are watching it per member, you're going to have some different results. Now, ESPN just got way more exposure. So now when you see the scenarios and the situation play out, you start to see the numbers reflect a little differently. Because now, instead of the 370 or 80,000, now when Shannon Sharp gets there, he's totally and single-handedly is responsible for 300,000 views himself. Shannon Sharp is coming in, bringing in 300,000 plus views himself. So First Take is doing 500,000, 600,000. They did 1.3 million when the Cowboys lost. And they had Shannon Sharp. 800,000, 700,000, doubling their numbers. Now, all of these things are reflective on the process and the range and the impact of what Shannon Sharp brought to the show. So Stephen A is lying about Max Kellerman. He's completely being dishonest. He knows that the reason Max isn't there is because of him. He knows Max Kellerman, the network wanted it to work, but you just didn't. They kept fighting for him to remain on the show, even when you tried to get him removed after 2 years. Then for basically 2 years, you guys are just remotely going back and forth with one another. And he's totally not letting you in. He knows you don't like him. But it gets even worse. Stephen A. Smith ego have you to believe that this just wasn't working out. And it had nothing to do with anything else, but just chemistry. Nope. It was the fact you were losing to Max Kellerman. You were losing a lot of debates to Max. You got people starting to question, are you black enough? Then that's why he means, it was always about me. No, the jokes was always on you. Yeah, you're right about that. You were the butt of all jokes. Mm-hmm. And now that he's the butt of all jokes, and don't forget to subscribe to the page, good people. Hit the notification button. The Cash App is Karceno, and the Patreon is Karceno for life. We've been doing great things over there this week. Can't wait to continuously hit y'all with more, because there's more information in the world, and we're just the ones to give it to you. But see, that's what the boss does. Plays this old mind game of the master. When you play this master game, master and servant, one dynamic is going to remain. One dynamic that is going to remain. Somebody's going to rise and somebody's going to fall. Who's going to be the one to fall on the sword? That's what we need to know. That's the determining narratives that we're plagued with. We need to know what's going on. As people, we need to know what is the results and which story you're going to stick with, Stephen A. 1 minute it's Max Kellerman's fault. 1 minute, next minute it's your fault. Why this story don't stay the same? Why is it always being told? Why, if you don't like the guy or you have respect for him, shut up. You've already stated what you had to state. Why do you keep bringing it up? Why do you don't say, hey, let's not talk about Max Kellerman. Max did his thing where I said my thing, he said his thing. Look, let's go on here. Max haven't said anything about you. Not publicly. We haven't seen Max since he said goodbye on that show. And that's okay. That is A-okay. I'm cool with that. But what I'm not cool with is the lying narratives that have been presented in front of us. Oh, yeah, it's always those narratives, right? They always present these narratives. Oh, Stephen A. Smith. Oh, the show is much better now. Stephen A. Smith is this. I'm the executive producer. I do everything. I'll make sure the show go. I'm the executive producer. Stephen A. is the executive producer. They gave him this title to give him responsibility. In case something goes wrong, it's Stephen A. Smith's fault. Stephen A., what happened? You're the executive producer. You didn't know this was going on? Stephen A. has no power on the show, ladies and gentlemen. All the good people listening, Stephen A. Smith has no power on this show. None whatsoever. Stephen A. Smith can't get a candy bar on the damn show. If you want a candy bar, don't ask Stephen A. Smith. He got to go get permission from them bosses before he can do that. You ain't getting a candy bar from him. That man right there, he wants to please the massa. And he know massa ain't going to be pleased. Massa is not going to be pleased if you keep asking for stuff. Oh, can't do that. No. Can't have that. So he got to get back to tip, tip, tappity, tip, tip, tappity. Tap dance. Now, everybody would look at this and say in different tones, and different society and different ways of understanding that they just don't get it. And I don't understand why people don't get it. That's the thing that gets me. Like, you've seen bad people before and bad bosses. This is a person you would say is a bad person, a bad boss. What he actually did was he's like, I put all those people in those chairs. No, ESPN did. Bob Iger, Jimmy Pitaro, them two bosses behind you. They the ones brought over Shannon Sharp, not you. They dealt with Shannon Sharp. You had nothing to do with the negotiations. They had to sit down and negotiate with him. They ain't had to say, Stephen A., what about this guy? They ask you, did you have a problem with them? They'll say, hey, we're thinking of making this move. Do you have a problem with it? They're just saying, this is what we're doing. We're just making sure that you understand this is our decision and you don't have a problem with it. And they know you don't, because you live to please massa. And then no matter who they bring in there, you gonna walk around like you the big man. I'm big man on campus. yeah. I'm the big man. I'm big stepping. I'm the superstar around here. And most people don't like you. There's a reason for that. They don't like you because you don't move like a boss. You move like somebody who's an acting boss. The bosses ain't here today, so I'm the boss. You got to listen to me. I'm the HNIC around here. You know, those are people who are not used to being in charge. They just want the respect of the people. And then the black people who you claim you got hired and gave positions to, they don't like you. You were put on blast for your sexist remarks that you made, trying to credit Jamel Hill of all people. Jamel Hill was there when you were fired. She was on the show first take when it was Cold Pizza before you even got on the show. How you help her? She came on your show, quite frankly, I think, or something like that you did back in the day. But, you know, she was thankful you did that, but you didn't make her career. Carrie Champion, really? You didn't select Carrie Champion. You had no power. She was already working there. So you minimalize other black women there to make it look like, oh, I'm the big time. Big man. But that's what I'm talking about. Puppets. Notice you're the first one I got on the string. Now, when I see all these puppets in the game and I see where my mind goes and see where their mind goes, it's quite easy to make the decisions that I make. Proud of the decisions I made because they told me I was right. They teach me every day how right I am. Oh, every day. I'm taught the difference between right and wrong in a whole different format. Now, Stephen A. Smith is always looking for a way out or something. He's searching. He's looking for a pothole to get out of. He's looking around. Oh my God, I gotta find something. Something magical's got up here and pulled me out of this funk. Everybody's coming at me from all angles. I got Whitlock, I got Ceno, I got Kwame Brown. It's everywhere. And these guys just won't stop. You started it, and everybody else is just finishing it. That's all it is. Because, buddy boy, you're not that interesting. So, now that we all know what this situation just relates to, now the whole world will have a drawn out comparison to everything that's going on that's been happening when it comes to Stephen A. Smith. Because we could clearly see Max Kellerman wasn't really the problem. You didn't want to work with Max and help him get to the point that you wanted him to get at. Max tried to show emotion and passion, and then I went in the comment section and said, do you think screaming is passion? And just because you're talking loud or through emotions is passionate? I didn't think it was. So, on that note, I want to point out some other things. And we need to go back and listen.
I can't debate myself, and you got to be willing to step out there, take a position, et cetera, et cetera. Not to say that he wasn't at times, because clearly he was. But Skip and I had set a standard. And so the audience had an expectation, fair or unfair, that he was going to live up to that standard that Skip had set. So it really wasn't about Stephen A. It was about the Skip element and comparing that to Skip, looking for him to create that kind of fervor. And when it didn't happen, all of a sudden you felt a staleness. And I wasn't going to sit idly by and just let it continue to feel that way. I said, we got to do something. So we are not an ideal peer, what y'all want to do. And that's how that happened. And so I root for him, you know, I mean, because obviously, listen, I got fired in 2009. That brother got morning radio and he got an afternoon show. Okay. And then obviously they had to make whatever decisions they had to make with layoffs and all of this other stuff. But this dude has been in the business working for HBO. He's worked for ESPN. He's worked for Fox. I have nothing but respect for him. He's a decent, really good dude at his core. And I'll never root against him. And so I just hope that I just know that if he were covering boxing and interviewed me or vice versa, we could do that. If we were doing Sports Center, we could do that. My issue was he and I together strictly for a debate show. There's certain people, there's certain couples, pairs that just don't work as a debate team. And that's all I was trying to say.
Now, they didn't work as a debate team because everybody has to play their position and role. That's what he's trying to say. That's how a debate show works. So you know the other side is going to be on that side, and what they're going to basically say to you, they're going to make their talking points, then you're going to come have your talking points. Sometimes they let a guy win. The other time, make sure the other guy loses. And it's this tug-of-war battle that goes on for 52 weeks. Now, no, not really. Yeah, I'm a little tired, so I'm gonna get ready to call it. Get ready for football, take my little nap. But like I was saying again about Stephen A., he's a liar and a master manipulator. Do not be fooled. Shouts out Kwame Brown, Bus Life, Ticket TV. Welcome to HDII TV. And I'm out. See y'all on my Patreon, Karceno for Life.